being
Let me tell y'all something, man. I ain't always there when you call, but I'm always on time. Y'all drop them nines, like it up and share it, man, and let me know my audio is good, man. Y'all know what it is. We finna turn up. We finna turn up tonight. Ken of Lemon, welcome to the live, guy, man. Always good to see, the regulars in attendance. Candy Grant, welcome to the live reflection. Yeah. Y'all like it up and share it, man. Do me a favor, like it up and share it. And look, if you on Facebook, man, do not be afraid to pound that like button. Also share it as well. We fighting with the algorithm over there, man. We fight with the algorithm over there. So don't just be in here and fake attendance, man. Like it up and share it. Welcome to the live, Harvey. Peace reflection. Trisha, welcome to the live reflection. Shamika Gibson, welcome to the live, goddess. Ben Winning, welcome to the live, God. Yeah. I see y'all coming in, man. It's a little late, man, but I'm gonna bring this in here, man, because we need to talk about this. This is the subject that most definitely is necessary in terms of being had. Carla Rowe, welcome to the line, goddess. Ernestine Johnson, thanks for the nines, goddess. Welcome to the line, to the live. Harvey, thanks for the nine. Been winning. What's the word, God? What's the word? Dre Mintz, thanks for the nines. Hell nah, welcome to the live, God. Joe Simmons, welcome to the live. Crystal August, welcome to the live. We a little short-handed over there on YouTube tonight. What's going on? On Facebook tonight. We short-handed on Facebook tonight, man. Y'all drop them nines, man. Drop them nines, man. So, as y'all can tell by the title, man, tonight, we going to be dealing with the Anunnaki and, if they actually created humans, okay? So I feel like when we're going to talk about a subject like this, ain't nobody better than to bring forth than Billy Carson, man, because this is somebody who is well-versed and well-studied. Though we may not agree with everything that he says, I feel like, everybody can agree to the fact that he is well-versed and well-studied, okay? And so with that being said, man, I want to say, man, I cannot confirm but deny anything that's about to get ready to be said in this video. But I will ask that you guys go ahead and use discernment, all right? And so let me start this video off with the right spiritual energy. I want to say peace to the gods and goddesses, peace to the ancestors, and peace to all of the high vibrational beings on the planet. Today, I'm sending you nothing but love and light, man. You already know what it is.
Yeah, I'm about to expose every lie they done told, like how they trafficking kids and why they ain't got a soul. They feeding off our energy, trying to destroy the globe. They got weather control, they even making it snow. But we can't run from it, gotta grab it by the ant.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what it is, man. So, I got to keep y'all updated on what is going on this week, man. I know y'all been seeing the trailer go around already, man, with the, it's time to take your power back, man. We got the event. It's time to take your power back, man. For those of you who do believe that it's capable for you to tap into your powers, man, it's most definitely necessary for you to be at this lab tonight. This is going to be an event of a lifetime, okay? It's very rare that you can actually get close to someone who is tapped in enough to be able to say, yeah, this is solid. This is solid and it's capable of, if only you're willing to do what's necessary in order to harness it, all right? So, yeah, make sure y'all hitting that post notification bell or that notification bell, man, so that you will be notified. When we go live. Even if you didn't hit the event notification bell, please hit the notification bell on your Facebook page, on my Facebook page, okay, on this channel page. That way you will be notified when we go live, period, and you won't miss it, all right? So, look, yeah, let's tap into... Out of all of the mental powers, the most powerful and the most effective one is telekinesis, better known as psychokinesis. Telekinesis involves using your mind to affect physical objects. Nowadays, it's composed of your mind's ability to have an effect on time, space, energy, and matter without any recognizable physical means. Telekinesis is definitely an exceptional ability. It's so mysterious, you might be wondering if something like this could even really be done. You might even ask yourself if this is a skill that could be mastered. But ask no more. October 29th, I want you to join me and Chief Why Not of the Chief Why Not tribe. Why Not being the acronym for You Need Only Truth. He's a teacher of many things, but his main curriculum is divine knowledge of self, advanced meditation, mental healing, and telekinesis. So don't forget to hit that post notification icon so that you will be notified when we go live. And peace to the gods and goddesses. Ashay.
Yeah, I'm about to expose every lie they done told, like how they trafficking kids and why they ain't got a soul. They feeding off our energy, trying to destroy the globe. They got weather control, they even making it snow. We can't run from it, gotta grab it by the antler.
Okay, y'all. Okay. Y'all make sure y'all hit that notification bell. It's a free event. It's a free event, okay? And I want y'all to know, man, it's a lot of people who do doubt that these things are capable, and I want you to understand, bro, belief is a part of the spell, okay? So what I mean by that is look, in order for a spell to work, you have to believe in it. I want you to understand that you have been asleep. You have been asleep. There has been a spell that has been cast upon the people that caused them to be asleep. Okay, and it caused them to go into a state of amnesia. That is why we do not know who we are. That is why we do not know what we're capable of. Okay, and so right now we in the age of Aquarius, man. We starting to wake up out of that slumber, man. It is no coincidence that you are starting to understand. Okay, not understand, but understand or overstand that you are, right, a god or a goddess. So with that being said, how can you say that? You know, how can you say that you're indigenous to this land, right, and that you are everything and everything is you, and you don't think that it's possible for you to harness the wind? Okay, you don't think it's that you should be conquering the elements on the realm. It don't make sense. Okay, so when you really sit back and think about it, you go to school all of these years, right? All of these years and learn things that do not benefit you in any way. You know, we learned that they're lies. I feel like that all of that time you supposed to been harnessing the elements of this planet, bro, is more than a learning experience. You have to learn from every level, bro, how to be one with all of the elements: fire, wind, water, earth, so on and so forth. That's you know, you are everything, and everything is you. You are made up of those 9 ether genes. Okay, you know that those 9 that those gases are in everything that's natural to the planet. So if the wind is natural to the planet, you should be able to harness that, then use that to for whatever reason you need it. Y'all like it in the share, drop them 9s if you agree. Drop them 9s if you agree. Frankie D. Mirror say they don't want us independent. That goes without being said. You feel me? We already know they don't want us independent, because if you become independent, then you're gonna start to tap into things like this. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna have a free mind. Okay, well, there's no restraint on my mind that telling me if I do try and see what this does for me, that I'm gonna end up in the hellfire. There's no restraint on my mind. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I be trying to tell y'all, bro. Anytime that you see fear being put into place, it's all about, you know, control. Because fear is a control mechanism. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, if they're putting fear in that, it's all about, okay, we're gonna set all fear based around their own science, right? Therefore, they don't want to tap back into it because they believe that they're going to go to a hellfire. It makes sense. Y'all drop them 9s. It makes sense. And so that's why I say, man, when we look at everything, man, we need to look at everything with common sense. I know that they have taken the common sense away from our people, away from us, period. You see what I'm saying? And then they've replaced that common sense with their own thought process through the televisions. You see what I'm saying? Through the schools, through the churches, so on and so forth. You feel what I'm saying? And so through all of that, we've lost the ability to think for ourselves, right? To go within. You feel me? That's why you don't know who you are right now. You so busy, you never went within to really know what it is that you like, you enjoy. You feel me? Your hobbies are, so on and so forth. You feel me? That's facts. Frankie Demira say they poison everything. That's big facts. So with that being said, man, y'all be there at the event. It's October 9th at 7 p.m. Eastern time, man. For those of you who don't believe it, it still be in attendance, man. You feel me? Nothing beats a failure but a try, right? So if you come and you learn something that you never knew, and then you actually go out and apply what you learned, and then, you know, you end up with something, then was it all for nothing? Because, hey, I keep telling y'all right now, bro, we going through something right now. We going through something right now, y'all. All right, the planet is shifting. 77,000 new islands just came up. You see what I'm saying? Everything is it's getting crazy over here. All right, but with that being said, man, the topic of the night is did the Anunnaki actually, you know, create humans? Did they actually create humans, man? And like I said, man, when it comes to that topic, man, I feel like it's no better person to speak on that topic other than Billy Carson, because he's done so much research on it. Okay, so we could consider him a scholar when dealing with the information that he's going to give, right? Because he's done the research. All right, but with that being said, I still want you to have discernment when dealing with it, because you know you have to come from your own understanding and move from that aspect. All right, so let's jump into this video. Oh man, I'm still playing this. Let's jump into this video, y'all.
So there's been a misconception going around for a very, very long time in the way that people have stated and talked about these Anunnaki beings, which are really they are the Atlanteans. Okay, so when you hear Atlanteans and you hear Anunnaki, we're talking about the same people. See, Anunnaki means those that came from heaven to earth, or from another place to this planet, from space to this planet. Any being from any planet, anywhere in the known universe that comes to Earth is an Anunnaki. Okay, it's a generalized term. Just like if you were me, right? I live in Florida. I live in a city in Florida, right? So let's say Fort Lauderdale, Florida. If I hopped on a spaceship and went to another planet and people were there and they said, well, where are you from? I'm not going to say I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm going to say I'm an earthling from Earth. You see?
See, now coming from that aspect, I can't agree. You see what I'm saying? Because first of all, we have to understand that when we talk about who Anunnaki was, who the Anunnakis like received their name from, you know, it's in, to me, it would be in the correlation with who Anu was, meaning the head person over their planet, over there. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, I understand that he's a scholar and things like that, but I feel like from that perspective, can we really not say that, you know, the Anunnaki did not come from a specific planet? And as we go on, you know, we're going to get to that a little more. You feel me? And so, like you say, if you come from Earth, you're going to say you're Earthling, right? And so they're coming from, you know, from Nibiru, and they're calling Nibiru basically their representation of Anu, the king and the overseer of their planet. You see what I'm saying? So that's why they say Anunnaki. Drop them nines if you agree with me or you think that he's head on with that. I just feel like, you know, the head of their planet name is Anunnaki when we talk about Nibiru. Okay, I mean, it's Anu. Okay, so when they come here, they come in the representation of Anunnaki, of Anu. That meaning those who came from, like, I feel like those who Anu sent, they came from heaven. You feel what I'm saying? Because Anu, he specifically sent them here. So, say it goes back to the Sumerian text. It does though, Frankie. The mirror, but I'm just saying, using my own thought process. Anu sent them here. He sent them here. You see what I'm saying? So this is why they got Anunnaki. You feel me? Now, when you say Earth, then you're gonna say I'm from Earth because I'm an Earthling because I came from Earth. You feel me? Or whoever you would think the president is here. If the planet was being ran along those lines, you might say I'm a White Housean or something because you come from. You get y'all get what I'm saying, man. Come on now, y'all get what I'm saying.
And so it's a generalized name, is what it is. Now, Atlantean is a specific name of the type of civilization that they built. They built an Atlantean civilization on this planet. And I personally believe after many decades of research and investigation, reading over 1,000 cylinder scrolls, tablets, papyruses, ancient texts, and so forth, visiting with ancient sages and wisdom keepers and archaeologists all around the world, my personal hypothesis now is that it's not just Earth that was Atlantis. It was also the moon, and it extended all the way to Mars and maybe even beyond. They were an interplanetary civilization, not just a ring city in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean that sunk.
Now, see, that's something that I can agree with, because when you like dig into the history, you know that they even had, history says that they had space stations on Mars. Okay, so like what they would do is when they came from Nibiru, they would stop at Mars, and then they would gas up. Then they would come here, and then when they would leave here, they would gas up again, and then go back to Nibiru. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, I do feel like they were interplanetary, because they even found pyramids on Mars as well. So that's an indication that they were on that somewhere along the line. They were up there.
That was just one capital of many capitals that existed on this planet. But they, in fact, were a interplanetary civilization. They had achieved what we would hope to achieve in the future. But you have to remember, according to these ancient tablets, they were approximately 1 million years ahead of us technologically, making anything that they do or did or still do to this day appear to be magic. When a more advanced civilization meets and engages a less advanced civilization, the less advanced civilization will deify the more advanced civilization. It's called a cargo cult. And what you have here on this planet, you have humanity, which is one gigantic 8 billion person cargo cult. That's what we've become. And the deities and everything else that we're worshiping and praying to are not the creator of the universe. There is not one book that exists on this planet, and I've gone through so many more to go through now, don't get me wrong, that is authored by the hand of God itself. I don't want to say him, because him will be an incorrect terminology. You don't give a creator of a universe a gender. There is no gender.
Right. I feel that way too, like in terms of like, him. I've said that on several occasions. Like for those of you who've been following me, I feel like they not gods. Okay. I feel like because when we use our common sense, which is what I've told you, I feel like they've taken away from us. When you use common sense, it tells you then if they're gods, who created them? Who created them? So then this is why I tell you it goes all the way back to like the fight that we talk about that was having, or the issue that took place in the garden with Adam or Eve when she was convinced to eat this apple and things like that. It goes back to the story of Enlil and Enki, and one brother wanting these beings that were supposedly created by, which I wouldn't say created, but were basically grafted, because they just didn't do nothing but speed up the evolution. You see what I'm saying? So, one brother wanted to tell him that they weren't as special as they thought they was, and then the other brother wanted them to believe that they were gods so that they can control them and keep them in place in terms of doing what it is that they want to do. And so when Eve got this information, you see what I'm saying, and they kicked her and Adam out because they were afraid that they were going to like tamper with everybody else. This information was going to spread, and everybody else was going to find out that they weren't who they said that they were. You see what I'm saying? So yeah.
As a frequency. And so what we're saying here is this: the text is written by flesh and blood people, except for one text that I know of. There's only one text that's written by one of these beings, and it's the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I wrote my book about this gentleman, right? Look up the Compendium of the Emerald Tablets. That's my book. In there I talk about the guy who wrote his own tablets. He authored them himself. He didn't have a scribe write them. The rest of these tablets and scrolls and everything else were authored by scribes, people that one of these entities would dictate to. They called themselves gods, but they weren't gods. They masqueraded as gods, but they themselves even knew that there was something above them, because they said the creator of all will answer. They will have to answer to the creator of all for what they've done to people on this planet. So they themselves knew that they weren't the creators of the universe, because they called several times in the tablets on the creator of all, knowing that there was something higher than them. And so they duped humanity. Some were nice, some were malevolent, some were benevolent. Some were good, some were evil. Yin, there's yang. Some wanted to help, some didn't want to help. Some tried to kill us off, some tried to save us. You can find this in all these different epics, Epic of Gilgamesh.
And that's why I tell so many people, like, you have to understand, when you talk about disagreeable and agreeable nature, okay, which all of us have. We all have evil, and we all have good inside of us, okay? And that's the symbolism of the Council of 24, okay? And I feel like, the footsteps are all over the planet when we talk about disagreeable and 12 of them being on the council, and then the moon, which is a symbol of the planet that they supposedly came from, which had no sun. Okay, you feel me? But had 2 moons. You feel me? So with that being said, I feel like the moon is like a symbol of these 12 disagreeable beings, and then we know the planet Nibiru, which is a sun, a spaceship, and a planet, right? Every time you see the sun, this is a representation of them, which stays out the 12, agreeable beings that sat on that council of 24. You feel me? And which is this is what it says to us in the beginning. You feel me? We got to get a little deeper than what we going into. You feel me?
Epic of Atra-Hasis, the Enuma Elish, and the 7 tablets of creation. These texts predate most texts that exist on the planet, with the exception of the animal tablets, some of the Vedas, and maybe the only thing that will come even close to a written handed down text would be the Mahabharata, right? And so the misconception, let me get back to my point that I was talking about, is there's this misconception between people that are following the ancient astronaut theory, is that the Anunnaki created humans. Now, we have to be careful on how we state this, because according to the text, they didn't create humans. In other words, they didn't just from scratch, out of absolutely nothing, poof, there's humans here through some type of magic or alchemy or something like that, or did they have the creation power? They use genetic manipulation, which we're going to take a look at tonight. We're going to take a look into genetic manipulation that was done in ancient times. And this is one of the very first accounts of this evidence of genetic manipulation. But going forward into the future, even into what you call the modern day Bible, you find genetic manipulation when it comes to Mary, the mother of Yeshua, aka Jesus. I don't like calling him Jesus because Jesus means hail Zeus, and I'm not hailing Zeus. I'm talking about a real person, Yeshua, which is his real name, right? Yeshua was also a product of genetic manipulation through something called vitro fertilization, as well as his grandmother, who was also a virgin birth, which they never tell you about that in Bible study, that Jesus's grandmother, right? Yeshua's grandmother was a virgin birth. You never hear about it. They never talk to you about that in Bible study. Not once have you ever heard that come out of anybody's mouth, except for me, forbidden knowledge. Look it up. Make sure you get all your apocrypha texts, the text that was by accident on purpose forgotten to be put into the Bible by the Council of Nicaea. That's where you find all the incredible truths at, right? In the book of Enoch, he was such an important person that he was spoken about in the Bible, but his book, which talks about these same Anunnaki beings, left out. The Bible talks about the Anunnaki. They call them the Anak in the Old Testament. They say the people that ran into these Anak say that in their eyes, we were grasshoppers in their sight. That's coming from the Bible, the canonized Bible that you take and read and pray to and everything else, right? So these are the Anunnaki, they exist. And these beings, these people that are in these Sumerian tablets, their names are in the Bible as well, but nobody ever reads the Bible, so they wouldn't even know. We're going to touch on some of this stuff tonight.
That's what I be saying. I be like, it's so many people who claim to be Christians, man, but do not know anything about the Bible. It goes back to what we was arguing about this whole thing with the Star of David. There is no such thing as the Star of David, okay? It was never mentioned in the Bible. But you go along with it because you go to these indoctrination camps every day, bro, and they tell you in church that there's a Star of David, and you just believe it. While they had all the other scriptures from you.
We're going to touch on some of this stuff tonight, all right? So I'm going to pull up this PowerPoint. We're going to go over a couple things tonight. We're going to talk about the Enuma Elish and the 7 tablets of creation, which is an ancient text, a super ancient text. Now, even though the text is quoted to be approximately about 6,000 to 7,000 years old, it's much older than that because it's copied tablets from older copied tablets, because you have to continue the information on and on and on for the next civilization. So even tablet 5, which was just discovered at Somalia in Iraq, was re-added to the 7. But you can tell by the cuneiform, it's thousands of years old. But the story of it comes from even deeper antiquity. And how do we know this? Because we found multiple copies of the Enuma Elish that have different year dating on them. In one, it mentions a planet named Nibiru. In a newer version, which is about 5,000 years old.
Okay, so now we can kill all the, and I ain't gonna lie, why not? God, I'm shooting at you right now. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. we could kill all the pseudoscience talk, man, because these tablets say that Nibiru actually existed. And for me, I see it all the time, but I'm just shooting at the guy because me and him, we be having this debate all the time. Every time we link, man, it get to this.
Nibiru's name was changed to Marduk because Marduk wanted to be the destroyer. So it's pretty interesting stuff. These are the 7 tablets of creation. When you read the Old Testament of the Bible, the majority of the information in the very beginning of Genesis is coming from these 7 tablets, separating the waters from the waters, right? Bringing up the dry land. These are words, these are statements that are copied almost word for word directly from super ancient texts and put into the Bible in Genesis. And then people are running around going, oh man, this is the word of God.
I keep telling y'all, man, we need to do our research at all times because everything that you're learning, bro, is bits and pieces. This is why I say don't throw the Bible away because it's leading you somewhere if you're willing to do the research. Excuse me, y'all. My throat is a little scratchy, okay? But yeah, if you're willing to do the research, then, the Bible is leading you somewhere. But I'm telling you, every time we talk, it's all about the Bible being, light years. I'm talking about, this tablet being light years ahead of the Bible. So all of the context that you see in the Bible was actually stolen and plagiarized because they knew that the recordings, if they, shape them the right way, can control a society. You feel me?
No, it's the word of man. It's the word of M-A-N. Okay? M-A-N that wrote this down as a scribe from beings that were here that were also, in my opinion, M-E-N, men and women that weren't any gods. They were just more highly technologically advanced, maybe even more spiritually advanced. They probably had a combination of spiritual and technological advancements that they merged together, giving them godlike powers to a person that's, using copper chisels and chicken bones to build houses. It looks like magic. Looks like magic to them. You got it? So we're going to dig into this a little bit. All right. So we're talking about, I'm looking up because I'm looking over the camera, by the way. He's like, why is he looking up like that? Because I'm looking above the camera to a screen behind the camera. The Enuma Elish and the 7 tablets of creation. The Enuma Elish, which is really the way to pronounce it. You could say Elish as well, more Americanized, right? Is the Babylonian creation myth. It was recovered by Austin Henry Layard in 1849 in the ruined library of Ashurbanipal at Nineveh, which is in Mosul, Iraq. That's the cradle of civilization, okay? That is the cradle of civilization. Iraq, where it's located right now. And there's a whole other podcast I'm going to get into, that Africa extended all the way up into that region back then. Remember, bordering countries are just made by invisible lines created by men. But if you read ancient tablets, you discover that Africa had extended way up into what now is called Arabia. All right. And published by George Smith in 1876. 1876, the Enuma Elish was first published, translated and published in 1876. What does that mean? Why am I saying that so many times? Well, a lot of people tend to think that these tablets are just fabrications of Zecharia Sitchin, a guy who wrote many, many books, amazing books about the Anunnaki. And they said, and in their claims, which you can find all over YouTube and the internet, that he was the only person that could translate this text. And he was the only one who knew the story. And he just made up the story and blah, 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 blah. That's all false. Matter of fact, Zecharia Sitchin didn't translate any tablets. He clearly states in his book, in all of his books, exactly where he got his information, what the sources were. And the Enuma Elish is a main part of his sources of information to write his books, as he quotes in the actual paragraph where he's quoting words from the Enuma Elish, and that wasn't translated by him. Zecharia Sitchin translated absolutely nothing. What he did,
he just put it in,
was he put together the pieces of the puzzle and painted a picture and created stories about these beings in this time frame to the best of his ability. Was he 100% accurate? Probably not, but nobody is. We can only get as close to the truth as.
But see, what I think Zecharia Sitchin also did was he made it like more understandable for the reader, like more Like, you would want to read the story because it's more of a storyline that he gives. Okay, so that's what I feel like he did. Now, I advise y'all, anybody who want to dig into the Anunnaki and, you know, the history of the Samaritans, to go get his book.
Possible, and then we can only lay out our hypotheses on what may have happened based on data that we've collected from different sources, which is exactly what he did. It's very important to understand that what I'm reading to you now, what I'm talking about now, is not based on the work of Zecharia Sitchin. It's based on the work of scholars that came long before he was even thought of. He wasn't even in his dad's scrotum yet. So let's just clear the air with the whole Sitchin stuff. Published by George Smith, 1876. The Enuma Elish has about 1,000 lines, is recorded in Old Babylonian on 7 clay tablets, each holding between 115 and 170 lines of Sumero-Akkadian cuneiform script. Most of Tablet 5 had never been recovered until recently, and Tablet 5 was discovered at the Sumalai Museum in Iraq, as I talked about earlier. This epic is one of the most important sources for understanding the Babylonian worldview, centered on the supremacy of Marduk. Who is Marduk? When you go into the Egyptian text, you find out that Marduk is Amen-Ra. Yeah. When you say amen, that's who you say an amen to. This guy, one of the most evil, brutal dudes of all time. All right, who also masqueraded as a god and made statements that made it into the Bible, like, I'm a jealous God. There'll be no other God but me, and all that. That's the guy right there. He's also in the Jewish Torah, which I'm going to show you on this tonight. He says, and the creation of humankind for the service of the gods. The creation of humankind for the service of the gods. Its primary original purpose, however, is not an exposition of theology or theology, but the elevation of Marduk. The guy had a big ego. The chief god of Babylon, above all other Mesopotamian gods. There'll be no other god but me. This guy says this in the tablets. It's even in the Egyptian text. This guy was so jealous of everyone and all. What they were really his relatives, these other Atlantean kings that were ruling over Atlantean cities in different parts of the planet. He didn't want the people on the entire planet worshiping any of them, only focusing strictly on him. And what he ordered people to go around and start defacing the face of all the other gods, including Akhenaten, who was the pharaoh that was in the rule at one point when he was controlling the planet. And he told Akhenaten to have everyone.
Y'all do me a favor, man. Like this up and share it if I still have you here.
Every one of his people go and start defacing everything. That's why the faces are chipped off. They got chipped off.
Siri,
when you go to Egypt with me,
Siri listening to me, y'all.
You learn these things. None of this stuff was chipped off because they didn't want people to know that black people weren't in Egypt. That's actually a falsehood that I actually believed in myself back in the day, until I did what? I got my passport stamp. And when you get your passport stamp and you go places, you find out the truth. And when you start digging into the ancient text, you start finding out the truth of where the origins of a lot of these problems are. That's why you can dig up a statue that's 5,000 years old. And when you dig it up, the face is chipped off. It has nothing to do with white and black. It has everything to do with this guy right here, Marduk. When you hear the word God during this lecture that I'm giving you tonight, keep in mind, I'm not talking about the creator of the universe. I'm referencing the Anunnaki beings that masqueraded as gods with a lowercase g and were worshipped not only by the Sumerians, but by many civilizations that they themselves had kickstarted.
This is what I like to tell people. When you read the Bible, you have to understand that you're reading a story of the replenishing of something. Because when you get into the etymology of the word Genesis, then you start to understand that we ain't talking about the beginning, but we're talking about the replenishing or the reconstruction of something. And we also talking about that reconstruction having to do with the gene of Isis, which is what he's going to get into in a little bit more. You feel me? But and this is from the perspective of the Anunnaki when they came down here and what they recorded during their time period, because they sped up the evolution of the ancient man that were here at the time. Okay, so I keep telling people that, like, you know, now they had nothing to do with that spark of, you know, that spark of energy that creates all. You see what I'm saying? But we were supposed to naturally evolve. So when you talk about us being gods, we're not God because of our connection with them through the genetic modification. We're actually gods because we're connected to this realm and we evolved with this planet. Okay, we are a special type of being. The ancients was special as well.
Okay. The Enuma list exists as various copies from Babylonia and Assyria, and the version of the Library of Ashurbanipal dates back to the 7th century BCE, and the composition of text probably dates back to the Bronze Age, at the time of Hammurabi, or perhaps even earlier in the Kassite era. This is tablet 5 that was recently discovered at the Somalia Museum in Iraq, and it now has been added to the collection. You can see these tablets at the British Museum in London, which I went to and visited when I was there last year in 2022. And what's interesting is we know that our ancient ancestors had come in contact with these beings because, for one, the Dogon tribe had directly interacted with these beings because they knew this. They knew this order of planets, the shapes, the sizes, the rotational periods, the orbital cycles. They knew the position of the axis and what degree angle of tilt, the colors of the planets. The Dogon, these people right here, they knew all of that. How did they get this knowledge? How in the world did they get this information? According to them, it was the Anunnaki beings that they call the Nomo. These Nomo beings, they came from Sirius B. These are Anunnaki Atlantean people that came from Sirius B, and they engaged these Dogon beings, people, and they taught them everything about multiple star systems, trinary orbital patterns of a trinary star system, light years away, and all the knowledge of all the planets in our solar system. And I mean complete knowledge too. Orbital cycles, angles on axis, degree of tilt, the colors, the shapes, the sizes. They knew all of that long before what we call modern science knew anything. If you go to the Jewish American Library, right? jewishvirtuallibrary.org is how you can pull it up. jewishvirtuallibrary.org. Because people say, well, how come I don't see these people's names in any of this, the Torah and all these other? Well, first of all, the Torah and the Bible, that's New Age information. Because I found texts that's 10 times older than them, eons older than this text, right? And so you look at this New Age information, it's only a couple thousand years old.
And then you got to understand, they didn't want you to know about these extraterrestrial beings because they felt like, that if they told you that, it wouldn't go along with what it is that they had to say in order to control you. So in my opinion, they had to keep that away from us. You know what I'm saying?
But you look in there, guess what you find? Look, I just pull up one. I just said Marduk, find Marduk. His name is all over the place. That's Amun-Ra in the Torah. He's all over the place. He's everywhere. Look how many times his name shows up on one page. This is the book that is read by the Jews, right? The Torah, the Ethiopian Jews, the Ashkenazi Jews. This guy is in their book, calling out orders, claiming to be God, telling people what to do, trying to rule over human beings. Clear as day. How come they're not talking about this in Bible study?
Y'all say the live tweaking. What y'all mean the live tweaking? Y'all tell me what y'all mean. They say the live tweaking, man. Somebody drop it up in the comment and tell me what it's doing.
Temple. How come this should be the main topic of discussion, but it never is. Not once. There's some images I want to show you, which I'm going to go back to. But when you look at this is the image that I took. This is my very first image that I took from the Mars rover. This is back in 2000, around 2010, 11, somewhere in there, from worldwidetelescope.org. One of the very first images I ever found. And what's interesting is when you read the Enuma Elish and the 7 tablets of creation, it talks about a fact that these beings kickstarted a civilization on Earth and they kickstarted a civilization on Mars. They had 2 civilizations running concurrently. The people on Mars were called igigi, I-G-I-G-I.
Right, because if you read the story, man, then like even when Zachariah Stitch story, it tells you about how Anu and his brother, I want to say it was his brother, they got into a fight, okay, because one of them was already the owner, they was already the ruler of the land, okay, but anyway, they got into a fight in which he took the throne, so he had already been working out for this fight, so on and so forth, you feel me, to try to catch his brother off guard again and try to, get the throne. Well, he did that, lost again, and so he fled. He took the spaceship that they was building, and he fled. See, the issue with them trying to get to this planet was they had no way of getting through the Milky Way. So the story tells you that he came through the Milky Way while blasting it through with water, I think, like a water blaster. He blasted through the Milky Way, and then they ended up on this planet, and then he called back, and he asked, y'all go over to YouTube then. Go over to YouTube. There's a lot of people on YouTube. Then they say he went over to, that's how he ended up over here. He called back to his planet hoping that would get him away home. You see what I'm saying? So when they came down here, it's a long another story. When Anunnaki finally made it down here, it was another fight that took place in which he bit Anu's private part off and spit it out, okay? And so I think he swallowed whatever he swallowed. I ain't gonna say too much when y'all know what he swallowed. And he swallowed the whole private part. It caused him to basically become sick from it, right? So they on their way back to Nibiru, they dropped him off at Mars, and they allowed somebody to stay. I don't know which one. I think it was one of his sons, his brother's sons, the one that was fighting. And he said, if you alive when you come back, you have my word that I will give you X amount of men so that you can start a civilization over here. You feel me? Because we're going to need a place to basically come through and gas up in between places. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Igigi, right? Weird spelling, weird name. And then on Earth, they were just the Anunnaki. But what's interesting is these igigi were Anunnaki beings, Atlanteans, whatever you want to call them, but they were like the working class people. So they were there, according to tablets, not according to Billy Carson. They were digging canals, they were building structures, they were mining for resources and everything else, but they were doing it for hundreds of thousands of years, and it was wearing them out. And they started getting angry that they felt like they were becoming slaves. They felt like they were literally becoming slaves. When you look at this image, I highlighted a few things here that just don't look like rocks to me. They didn't look like rocks. And so I highlighted them. All I did was highlight them and expand them so you can clearly see what they are exactly. I'm not too sure, but I do know they don't look like rocks to me, which leads me to believe that these texts are telling the truth, that there was a concurrent civilization on Mars, same time running on Earth. This is Cydonia, another amazing image from a satellite image that we took flyover on Mars from an area or region called Cydonia. Now, why did they call it Cydonia? This thing looks like a giant lion, right? This is a massive area spanning a lot of miles. You can see there's a 5-sided pyramid, the face on Mars that was discovered, right? And what looks like other pyramid structures along the back of this thing. You can see how the face, the 5-sided pyramid, the D&M pyramid makes the nose. This is geo-landscaping on a large scale. You have to have, to do this, you have to have technology to carve this many miles of land and terrain to turn it into this image. And what's amazing is Cydonia means Cairo in ancient tongue. So they're calling this Cairo. They always know what's going on. They always hide the truth in plain sight. So let's talk about the translation, right? You have George Smith, okay, 1840 to 1876. Was an English Assyriologist, apprentice engraver, but self-taught in cuneiform in the corridors of the British Museum. Eventually, he was hired by Sir Henry Rawlinson, a prominent archaeologist, and Smith achieved worldwide attention when he discovered an account of the flood with obvious biblical parallels in 1872. Zachariah Sitchin wasn't born yet, guys. Related in the Chaldean account of the deluge, this book expands on the previous work and presents numerous translations of tablets, including the first print and appearance of the Epic of Gilgamesh. You also have E.A. Spicer, another person here, long before Zachariah Sitchin. In 1926, E.A. Spicer won a Guggenheim Fellowship to study the remains of the ancient Mitanni and Hurrians in northern Mesopotamia. While there in 1927, he discovered the Tepe Guara, one of the world's earliest cradles of civilization, And in 1928, he was appointed assistant professor of Semitics at the University of Pennsylvania and a full professor in 1931. He was the...
If I still got y'all here, y'all pound that like button, and share it for me, man. Share it.
Director and joint excavation of the American Schools of Oriental Research and the University Museum in 1930 to 1932 and 1936 to 1937. Undertaking excavations at Tepeguara, Tel Bila. He also translated the Hurrian legal text found at Nutsi. After the war, he returned to the University of Pennsylvania, where he was chairman of the Department of Oriental Studies from 1947 until his death in 1965. He was also appointed Ellis Professor of Hebrew and Semitic Languages and Literatures there in 1954. He translated and wrote extensive commentary for the volume on Genesis in the Anchor Bible series and was one of the editors of the Torah in the New Jewish Publication Society of America version of the Old Testament. A noted student of his, Marsh Greenberg, became the Israel Prize Laureate in Bible Studies. These are the people that translated these tablets and these texts. These ain't no idiots, okay? So for anybody, let me move this. Let me pull this down for a second. Let me minimize it, because I got to say something. For anybody who's claiming that these texts are hogwash and these people don't know what they're talking about, and you think you got a higher IQ than these people, the two guys I just read to you, IQs are off the charts. These two guys are the most revolutionary scholars of all time in terms of ancient history and ancient tablets and texts. Period. So if you think you got a higher IQ than these guys, then you need to let's have a debate, because you probably, first of all, let's do an IQ test. Number one, let's take the IQ test and see where you're at. Let's see how many languages you can actually speak. I can dabble in 5 languages right now. Pretty good, too. How many languages can you speak? How many ancient texts and tablets have you translated for the world to be able to have knowledge and wisdom and understanding? 0. So these people have real credentials. And real credentials, to me, they override anybody out there talking anything crazy, and especially people who have no passport stamps, period. When you have no passport stamps, you can't even step to me and say anything. You can't even say hello. Next. Let's take a look at this one here before I go on to more tablet. Leonard William King. And he was an English archaeologist and Assyriologist, educated at Rugby School and King's College in Cambridge. He collected stone inscriptions widely in the Near East, taught Assyrian and Babylonian archaeology at King's College for a number of years, published a large number of works on these subjects. He's also known for his translations of ancient works such as the Code of Hammurabi. He became an assistant to the keeper of Egyptian and Assyrian antiquities at the British Museum. Here's some of his works.
Facebook, y'all do me a favor. Drop them 9s, man, if the audio is flowing back well, man, again. Drop them 9s. Really, right now, I feel like the things that we talking about, man, this is what I mean when I say we have to deal with common sense. Common sense tells us that nobody in this time, that could have written a book could have been someone that, like, it takes several people to translate, a tablet. Okay, so I mean, I feel like everything that we even though the history is good, I feel like it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
First Steps in Assyrian, a book for beginners, being a series of historical, mythological, religious, magical, epistolary, and other texts printed in cuneiform characters with interlinear transliteration and translation of a sketch of Assyrian grammar, sign lists, and vocabulary. Letters and inscriptions of Hammurabi, Encyclopedia Biblica, Egypt and Western Asia in the light of recent discoveries, chronicles concerning early Babylonian kings, legends of Babylonia and Egypt in relation to Hebrew tradition. The 7 tablets of creation is his translation, or the Babylonian Assyrian legends concerning the creation of the world and mankind, the Code of Hammurabi. These are the kind of people that are translating these texts. It's not it's not what you think. It's not people who are just sitting around in a robe and slippers with a prepaid track phone trying to figure out what these things said. That's not what's happening. It's real work being done here. It had been done a very, very long time ago. Let's take a look at how cuneiform is actually written by Mr. Finkel at the British Museum.
Which is a Semitic tongue related to the modern languages of Hebrew and Arabic and Aramaic. The writing system which Cyrus's officials used was the traditional cuneiform script, which had been invented in ancient Iraq well before 3000 BC. It is written by pressing a stylus, something a bit like a chopstick, into the surface of the clay, which is nearly dry, and the signs which convey the sound of the language consist of different arrangements of these strokes. They're written one by one, and the reader has to join them up, and the sound emerges from the clay. This is the line that says, I am Kurash, Shar Kishati, king of the world, the great king, king of Babylon, and so it goes on. So we're going to write Kurash. So the first sign, Ku, has a big vertical, two small horizontals, one bigger horizontal, a little vertical, and another horizontal, like a box. This is Ku. Then Ra, we have three strong horizontals to begin.
My thing is this, man. When we dealing with information like this, where did you get the information from? How do you know that whatever you translating is, is the correct text? We don't know that. How do we know this? You see what I'm saying? Like, this is what I say, man. We just go for anything. But, to me, if you're telling me that, something is going on, like you telling me that you communicating something, a language that should nobody else know, okay, then that means that you have to have spoke to these people, or you just full of shit. Period.
Big one next to it, and then one little vertical wedge and one bigger vertical wedge. Ku, Ra. Now we do Ash, which is three long horizontals, Komsa, and then a vertical in the middle. So we can read this, Ku, Ra, Ash, the name of Cyrus.
All right, so move this out of here. So you see the difficulty in writing this text. That's just a small sample of just writing a few words. Can you imagine how much effort it takes to write thousands and thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of lines of that text? It was a very, very, very important job. You were truly honored to be able to write that information, to be able to even have the knowledge on how to do it, how to use that stylus in the wet clay. And then you were truly honored to be able to take it, from somebody that was dictating it to you. It was a high level honor. It was considered like the highest level you can think of. If you were to think of a high level honor today, like getting a special star or a special award, whatever the highest level you can think, that's what it was for these people.
Right, because this text, like, when you read the story, it's like he summoned somebody to write these texts as he told the story. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was Enlil who summoned, because throughout this text, you see Enlil and his brother constantly bumping heads. Okay, so I think it was Enlil who supposedly summoned his brother. Okay, but I just feel like, when it comes to them writing that text, it wasn't as hard as we may think it is, because this is something that they was already familiar with. He was already familiar with writing it, but I do feel like, it would have been an honor to the people that was here, because they looked at them as if they was the creator of all, because this is the story that they was giving them in order to get them to, get the goal that they needed to place their dome.
Also, they took it so seriously that they made sure they got everything to as accurate as they possibly could. When you're reading these stone tablets, you're looking backwards in time, and you're getting as close as you can possibly get to the actual information. You're getting the closest you can get to the truth. You can never get to the absolute truth. That's impossible. And if anybody tells you can, they're lying to you. If anybody says this is the absolute truth, they're lying. But you can get very close, because the care, the dedication, the understanding, the mindset of these people in their glory of having the capability and the honor of writing this stuff. They were doing the absolute best. They gave you 100% of whatever they can give you. And so when you read these ancient texts, which are baked clay.
Y'all do me a favor. If you're on Facebook, please get them shares up over there, y'all. It's a lot of people that don't know we live, man, because y'all ain't sharing it. I'm not asking you for money. I ask that you share it. Let's get the information out, man. It's people that need to know this, bro, because it's a lot of people that look toward them and they worship them because they feel like, these are the gods. You know what I'm saying? When in whole actuality, I keep telling y'all, these were the people that were actually assigned by that, because they were one of the first creations, as far as we can tell, because of their technology and things like that. You see what I'm saying? But we need to understand that you need to not be looking for nobody to save you but yourself, because everything you seek is within you. Not even them, not even the Anunnaki gods. You know what I'm saying? If you feel like you connected to them in any form, way, or fashion. You see what I'm saying? Y'all like this up and share it, man. But yes, it's people out here, bro, that don't understand, bro. You are the gods. You see what I'm saying? You are the Elohim as well. You have that same spirit in them that they have. You feel what I'm saying? Stop looking for them and tap into yourself.
Which turns into stone. You're as close as you can possibly get to information that was issued and given out in ancient times. And another thing about these tablets, you can't change what they say. You cannot change a stone tablet. You can't alter these stone tablets. You can't make it say spaceship. You can't make it say, genetic modification. You can't make it say these things. You can't. There's no way rock Photoshop in the third dimension that you can have a clay mold into something else, a tablet mold into something else. What you're looking at is what was written. Whether you want to admit to yourself or not, these people were talking about some super advanced technology in the ancient times, far, far beyond what we have right now. Far, far beyond. Okay? I mean, extremely far beyond as well. Let's take a look at something here. I'm going to read from this computer here, from one of these, from some information from the Enuma Elish. See if I can pull this up here. Hold on a second. Let me see if I got the right area here. Hold on one second. Let's see. Just had it up here. I want to find this section which is talking about some of the creation aspects from the Enuma Elish without having to go through the whole doggone tablet, because that's a lot of text. And it's very interesting. Let's see here. But there's so much text here. It's incredible. Just so much text. Let me go to the top. Let's see if I can find it by search. Just look for Adamu, which is the first man. Okay. The Elohim. Elohim is a plural term. Even in the Bible, it's a plural term. They try to pretend like it's a singular term, but Elohim, the Elohim is the same thing as the Neturu of ancient Chem, ancient Kemet.
Now, who was the Neturu? These were divine energies. Okay, they govern over the cosmic. They govern over the way life is basically created in the cosmos. Okay, so when you think about our planet or realm, whatever it is that you want to associate it with, this is nothing more than it's a part of the cosmos. It's a part of whatever, you feel me? So they govern over that, and it said like in the beginning, we evolved from the water. We came from the water, walked upon the land. And then the sun, with its rays, because you have to understand that the sun is the giver of light. So the photon energies from the sun, sprayed down on us. Then the Netzaru came down and they manifested themselves into physical form. And they watched over us, to ensure that we evolved the way that we was supposed to evolve. Okay. And then you get the story of them coming along, messing with evolution, so on and so forth. You feel me?
The Neturu, the Elohim, they're the same exact people. The pantheon of...
So even when I tell you about the Elohim, man, I've said this 1,000 times, bro. This is why we've been so able to be... This is why we've been able to... This is why we've been able to be manipulated for so long, because we don't know the ancient language. Okay? You feel me? Therefore, we don't read the text. We don't know what Elohim means. So when you go into the church, your minister is telling you that Elohim means God. They make you think it's a singular word, and the whole time it's a plural word, because it gives you a whole different perspective to know that Elohim means something different. It's a plural word. It means more than one. Now you're like, oh, hold on. So it was actually more than one God. Okay. And so now you're able to see how it is that they trying to make you hone in on this one God and serve this one God. Okay. But just to know that, then you will say, okay, now I understand why it is that we call him the Most High. Okay, and where it is that he's connected from, because we got to go past the Bible. Maybe this book isn't as holy as they say it is. You feel me? So when I get on here and I'm trying to give you the right knowledge and you looking at me like, no, the Bible didn't say that. I'm telling you, bro, you got to dig deeper than the Bible. Okay? They stole it. They stole these tablets. Okay? They manipulated them. And then, through propaganda, making them seem like they were their own, they controlled a society. The proof is in the pudding.
Sumeria, same exact people. Same exact people. I'm talking about a group of ancient people that had supreme tech and supreme knowledge. The Elohim said this, and this is what made it into the Bible. This is in the Enuma Elish, which predates the Bible. The people in the Bible weren't even in their papa's sacks yet. Okay, they didn't even exist as a chromosome yet. They didn't even have a chromosome yet. They weren't even thought of yet. Let us make man in our image and our likeness. Does that sound?
And this is what he's reading from the tablet right now. So now look, he's going to show you how that goes with the Bible, right? And this is why I tell you, bro. Hey, look, indication. I'm seeing 144 people from my side, right? So I'm telling you, man, that's that number 9, bro. The divine 9. We know what that is, right? But now, with that being said, like, bro, when I tell people this, like, bro, you have to read the Bible, bro. And if you don't understand it or you don't understand it, read it slower and then meditate on it. Then you wouldn't have missed that it says, let them make, let them make men let us make men in our image. You wouldn't have missed that. That's key words, bro. For you to look at the minister and say, ho, 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 ho. You telling me that it's only one God, but the Bible is saying right here, this is what we know. We ain't dealing with spookism. We dealing with the facts. The Bible says right here, let us make man in our image. Who is us? Who is us? An hour. Bro, then the minister's going to say, don't question God. Don't question God. Because he ain't did nothing but go to school and got taught whatever it is that they wanted him to teach inside of these facilities. And you go there, you looking for his wisdom and his knowledge every day, and he just can't give you that. He can't give you that because he ain't even went within. He ain't even went within. How he going to give you something? You see what I'm saying? All he doing is teaching you how to be submissive. Don't question God. God wasn't like that. Well, then how the fuck I supposed to learn? Because every good research starts with a question. How I supposed to learn? So that should be a red flag for you to be like, nah, I need to go ahead and do some research myself because it's bigger than that, man. That's why I had the time. You look, as a kid, you fell asleep in church anyway. Drop them 9s if you was in church and you fell asleep. Because I know I used to fall asleep. That's because my soul wasn't resonating with it to begin with. My soul, if you was in church, man, and you fell asleep, man, while the minister was preaching, bro, your soul wasn't resonating with it. Your soul knew that there was some BS. You feel me? Because anything that your soul resonate with is going to be translated as a passionate feeling. And you're going to be glued to the screen or glued to the minister like, okay, my soul is telling me that this is okay. You feel what I'm saying? It's crazy.
To you. Let us make man in our image and our likeness. Isn't that interesting? That you can find this in text that predates the Bible by tens of thousands of years. So, according to these tablets, this took place some 455,000 years ago. And but that was when they got here. But the creation of the Adamu took place around 300,000 years ago to 200,000 years ago. And that's when Homo erectus suddenly changed into Homo sapien, according to modern science. The process by which fashioning of the primitive worker was achieved is then described in the Atrahasis epic, as well as in several other texts. It involved obtaining from the blood of the god his tima. Okay, tima, that's probably his DNA. Scholars translate as personality or life essence and mixing it with the ti'it of the Abzu. The term ti'it has been presumed to come from the Akkadian word tit, which equals clay, which is why it talks about using clay in the Bible. Hence the notion echoed in the Bible that Adam was fashioned from clay, but it's not exactly what it meant. They manipulated that terminology to get you to believe that somebody picked up some dirt and turned it into a human being. I would never want to be considered that I was just turned from dirt into a person. That means I was just a lump of mud. Now I'm a person. To me, that's not magical. To me, that's just dumb. Anyway, the life essence of personality of these gods was mixed with the essence of the existing being, found here on this planet at the Abzu, which is in Africa. By mixing genes extracted from the blood of a god with the essence of the existing earthly being, the Adam was genetically engineered. So the topic of this is...
And so this is when I say, like, bro, history tells us that, you know, they've been genetically engineering, you know, atoms. They've been cloning. Okay? These people were so ahead, bro. You have to understand, when you look at the hieroglyphs, they have watches on and things like that, bro. When you talk about the Ankh, okay, this is ancient technology as well. It's the key. It's the key to life, bro. They brought these things along with them because they knew how already to manipulate everything around them. They already knew how to do it, and they was teaching it to the Egyptians, to the ancient Kemets. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Anunnaki create mankind. In a way, yes, but creation from zero, just from scratch, no. What they did was our cousins were already here. We had cousins here. According to these tablets, these beings came to this planet. They saw us. They didn't even care. They were like, whatever, let them do what they're doing. We're going to go ahead and start building this breakaway civilization on this planet, mining these resources and building this civilization out. They had their floor plans. They had their street grid. They had everything they wanted to do laid out beforehand. It's all talked about in the tablets. And Lil said, I'm going to create the plan for all time on this planet. They started doing their work. They went right to work. They never touched us, never interacted, never messed with us. But in the Enuma Elish and the Atrahasis epic, something very interesting happens, which goes back to Mars. These igigi beings, which were also related to these Anunnaki people, these Atlanteans on Earth, they said, man, we're doing too much work. Like, you got us out here laboring like slaves, and when we ask for breaks, you don't give us any breaks. How long did they work? According to the tablets, they labored for around 250 to 300,000 years.
And so the igigi were the ones that were on Mars, okay? Because I told you when you know, after his brother tried to take the throne for the last time, when they came to this planet, he ended up chewing his genitals off and ended up swallowing them, okay? And so the semen from his genitals ended up, you know, causing him to become ill. And this is the story, y'all. I ain't making nothing up as I go along. Y'all drop them names, you understand where I'm coming from. So his son wanted to stay with him, I guess, to ensure that he passed the right way. See, they had nothing on Mars at that time, but Anu was like, okay, well, you know what? He could stay over here. You can stay with him. And if you alive, he's like, that's an honorable thing to do. You know, he told him that was like an honorable thing to do. He's like, but if you still alive, when we come back, you have my word that I will give you X amount of men to start a civilization over here. He knew that they was going to need a civilization to have gas. They need to fuel up in between, you know, here back to Nibiru, back to them, in between galaxies. You see what I'm saying?
Non-stop. Generation after generation. They just kept working, building. No breaks. No real rest. Being worked like slaves. Finally, and read this in the Atrahasis and also in the Enuma Elish, they say, you know what, man? This is getting to be too much, you know? I think they think we're slaves here, and we're not slaves, so we need to go ahead and get some straightening. So
Oh, wow. My bad, y'all. Excuse me. I was saying, let me see what he was saying, because I got thought out. Let me see.
In a way, yes, but creation from zero, just from scratch, no. In the Atrahasis epic, as well as in several other texts, it involved obtaining from the blood of the god his tima. Okay, tima, that's probably his.
Right, okay, so what I was getting to was, I was saying that, yes, the ancient man that he is talking about is the so-called black man. This is the nine-ether being, the people who evolved on the planet, okay? Excuse me. The people who actually evolved on the planet. This is who he's talking about, okay? So, basically, you have to understand that they were already here. What these beings did, they came down. They thought that they discovered something. They didn't know it was going to be actual people on the planet, which they were already familiar, because they knew every other planet had, people on them to begin with. But when they came down here after searching the planet and discovering that the minerals that they were looking for, which was one was gold for the dome, was here, then, they got tired of actually doing the work, okay? Because you have to understand, after I told you the fight took place, they dropped dude off on it. I can't think of his name. It started with an A or something. They dropped him off on Mars, told his son, after the fight took place, told his son that, if he came back, told his son that if he came back, he was to laugh, he would give them the men. He gave them the men, okay? And then basically they came back to Earth, or Tiamat, okay? At the time, they came back to what is known as Tiamat, all right? And so then they started doing the work themselves, because at first they were working, okay? They was working on the planet, and the igigi was working on Mars, all right? And so what happened was they got tired. So she went looking for a primitive man. They was looking around the land trying to see what it was, and then they bumped into the ancient man, okay? And so what I was going to say, yeah, these igigi, they got tired because basically they was down here having all the fun. They was partying. The men had the women and things like that. And the igigi was like, look, man, bro, we tired of being up here. They weren't allowed to have any women, no drinks, no nothing. They was like, look, we tired. We ain't finna deal with this no more. You see what I'm saying? And so, yeah, he finna get into it, though.
DNA. Scholars translate as personality or life essence, and mixing it with the Ti'it of the Abzu. The term Ti'it has been presumed to come from the Akkadian word Tit, which equals clay, which is why it talks about using clay in the Bible. Hence the notion echoed in the Bible that Adam was fashioned from clay, but it's not exactly what it meant. They manipulated that terminology to get you to believe that somebody picked up some dirt and turned it into a human being. I would never want it to be considered that I was just turned from dirt into a person. That means I was just a lump of mud. Now I'm a person. To me, that's not magical. To me, that's just dumb. Anyway, the life essence of personality of these gods was mixed with the essence of the existing being found here on this planet at the Abzu, which is in Africa. By mixing genes extracted from the blood of a god with the essence of the existing earthly being, the Adam was genetically engineered. So the topic of this is, did the Anunnaki create mankind? In a way, yes, but creation from zero, just from scratch, no. What they did was our cousins were already here. We had cousins here. According to these tablets, these beings came to this planet. They saw us. They didn't even care. They were like, whatever, let them do what they're doing. We're going to go ahead and start building this breakaway civilization on this planet, mining these resources and building this civilization out. They had their floor plans. They had their street grid. They had everything they wanted to do laid out beforehand. It's all talked about in the tablets. And Lil said, I'm going to create the plan for all time on this planet. They started doing their work. They went right to work. They never touched us, never interacted, never messed with us. But in the Enuma Elish and the Atrahasis epic, something very interesting happens, which goes back to Mars. These igigi beings, which were also related to these Anunnaki people, these Atlanteans on Earth, they said, man, we're doing too much work. Like, you got us out here laboring like slaves, and when we ask for breaks, you don't give us any breaks. How long did they work? according to the tablets, they labored for around 250 to 300,000 years, nonstop, generation after generation. They just kept working, building.
Because they were also considered to be like the slaves as well.
Building. No breaks, no real rest, being worked like slaves. Finally, and read this in the Atra Hasis and also in the Enuma Elish, they say, you know what, man, this is getting to be too much, you know? I think they think we're slaves here, and we're not slaves, so we need to go ahead and get some straightening. So these beings, these igigi people, they got together while on Mars. They had a discussion about it. They said, well, time to go to war. Time to go to war against the gods of Earth. That's Anu, who was the father, and then Enlil and Ea Enki. That was the Trinity right there. Right, those three people were running the planet. So what did they do? They got in their ships and they fell from Mars to Earth. They came from Mars to Earth. These are the gods that fell from heaven to earth in the Bible to go against God, to go against Anu, not the creator of the universe, God, to go against Anu, A-N-U. They show up in Adam's calendar in South Africa, which back then was called the Abzu. They go to the location where they are in the middle of the night and they encircle the camp. Read this in the tablets. Read it. They encircle the camp. And then everybody begins to wake up because somebody comes and bang, 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 bang on the door. Like, get up. We here. And like, who's that rabble on my door? What's that rabble on my door? They call it rabble on the door in the tablets. They begin to get up and look around. The guards now are waking up. Everybody's looking around like, oh, man, the igigi are here. They don't look too pleased. They don't look too happy. They got weapons.
Because I told y'all they was down there partying. They was down there kicking it. You hear what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Lil Enki, they come outside. The war is getting ready to happen. Enki comes up with an idea, says, I have an idea that might fix the problem. There is an existing, keyword, existing being on this planet. They're talking about our cousins. Before we became Homo sapien sapien, we were already here. Already. But we weren't Homo sapien sapien. And we weren't monkeys either. We were advanced people. We were smart people. We were just more spiritually in tune with the planet and ourselves. We weren't, we weren't like we are now with disconnected DNA. They disconnected our DNA and all this other good stuff. And so they said, Enki says, in the tablets, he says, we will take our essence and combine it with their essence. And then we will make them into the workers. They will bear the load of the Anunnaki. And that's exactly what started to begin. So they went into this, they came to an agreement, and the igigi said, okay, look, if you guys are really going to do this, we won't go to battle right now. We got you outgunned right now because there's a lot of workers, a lot of us, and not that many of you guys. And if you decide to, we could take you out right now. We're far away from the home planet. There's nothing anybody can do. This is like the Wild Wild West out here. We can do whatever the hell we want. So they're like, you know what? We're going to go ahead and let you do this. All right. And so now, very good point Kelvin brings up here. And thank you for the donation. The Anunnaki had considered, one of their considerations was artificial people. AI, sound familiar? Artificial beings, sounds a lot like robotic AI.
See, a lot of people was thinking that, this AI technology is new. No, it's not. It's not new. It's happening. Everything that happened then is happening again. And it's said that anytime this technology reaches this point on the planet, it always comes to an end. Around the time the shift happened last time, technology was at its highest. All right. And so you see it happening again. The technology is at its highest. So it says that history tells that every time technology on this planet gets out of hand and people get to controlling it, bro, it get chaotic. Look at Hawaii. So it comes to an end, bro. It's something about the technology.
Brother said no. They had a few of them in the medical place that they had. There's a medical city they established to help with the workers. But they said that if we have too many, then what will they need us for? What happens when they realize they don't need us? Even they knew back then that robotic AIs, too many of them, was dangerous. So they decided not to do the robotic AI. They decided to start tampering with genetics, organics. So they genetically modified the existing hominid. Now, what they did initially, if you read these tablets, they didn't come to the first successful Homo sapien right away. They didn't even come to a Homo sapien right away. They began to clone these people that were already here, genetically modify them with their DNA and everything, disconnect some of their DNA, get them to understand their language and be obedient, and they had them starting to do labor. But the problem in the tablets was this: these people couldn't reproduce on their own. It's just like when you take a tiger and a lion, you get a tigon, or a lion and a tiger, you get a tigon. A lion and a tiger that mate they can mate with something, but they're never going to be able to give birth. They're never going to get anybody pregnant or give birth to anything, right? They're bare. They're barren. They can't do it. Same thing was happening with our cousins. They said, damn, this is a slow process. We need an army of people now. These igigi, they're going to come back and they're going to be pissed. They're going to destroy us. They're going to destroy us. And Chris Jackson, did the Anunnaki kill off the dinosaurs? Yes, they did, because they needed to make way for the workforce and the civilizations that they were building out here on this planet. They talk about using a directed asteroid attack or directed comet strike. So this is pretty interesting. So they're like, we gotta speed this process up. ISIS.
And y'all see how they lie to y'all on so many scales, bro. They try to make you seem like the dinosaurs just went extinct. You know this, because you already have it. You read it. It's in a tablet. But yet still, you still teach to this day in every school that these dinosaurs just somehow became extinct. But they tell you it was through an asteroid, right? They tell you it was through an asteroid. They tell you it was through asteroid shower or whatever, but they don't get into the nitty gritty of why it is, where that asteroid shower actually came from. Okay? They don't. And so during this period of time, when the asteroid shower took place, a lot of the ancient people that was on the planet, they hid and they ran into inner Earth. Excuse me. Okay? Under what do you call those? Under waterfalls and things like that. You see what I'm saying? They ran behind them. They ran in the inner Earth, and that's why a lot of our beings are they are called interterrestrials right now. That's where you get the story of Yakub, his mother being a conehead, when they gave you the depiction in the movie The Coneheads. Okay, all of these people are interterrestrials. Don't believe me? Guess what? Go look up the ancient city of Shambhala. Go look up the Rainbow City. Okay, they tell you that these cities exist in the inner side of the earth. They give you the depiction in what's the movie? Godzilla versus y'all know what I'm talking about, man. Whatever his name is, they show you where he went in the inner earth. That there's beings that actually, it's a whole world down there.
Comes up with an idea. She says, you know what? I'm going to take the egg out of one of these beings. We're going to add our essence to it. I'm going to put that in my womb and carry it to term. So this was the first of the genetic experiments.
Let me rewind it a little bit for y'all, because I want y'all to see what he's talking about when he says how she actually had to put, she had to carry the womb herself because they couldn't reproduce. Okay. And so this is how we became genetically connected to them, because she gave birth. Now this is the gene of her. This is her gene. And this is what a whole reconstruction took place outside of the genetics.
Successful Homo sapien right away. They didn't even come to a Homo sapien right away. They began to clone these people that were already here, genetically modify them with their DNA and everything, disconnect some of their DNA, get them to understand their language and be obedient, and they had them starting to do labor. But the problem in the tablets was this: these people couldn't reproduce on their own. It's just like when you take a tiger and a lion, you get a tigon, or a lion and a tiger, you get a tigon. A lion and a tiger that mate they can mate with something, but they're never going to be able to give birth. They're never going to get anybody pregnant or give birth to anything, right? They're bare. They're barren. They can't do it. Same thing was happening with our cousins. They said, damn, this is a slow process. We need an army of people now. These igigi, they're going to come back and they're going to be pissed. They're going to destroy us. They're going to destroy us. And Chris Jackson, did the Anunnaki kill off the dinosaurs? Yes, they did, because they needed to make way for the workforce and the civilizations that they were building out here on this planet. They talk about using a directed asteroid attack or directed comet strike. So this is pretty interesting. So they're like, we gotta speed this process up. Isis comes up with an idea. She says, you know what? I'm gonna take the egg out of one of these beings. We're gonna add our essence to it. I'm gonna put that in my womb and carry it to term. So this was the first of the genetic experiment that led to the Homo sapien. There's a famous cylinder scroll at the British Museum with Isis holding up the baby, saying, my hands have created it. The first Adamu, which means first man. The Adamu, which means first man. And so she put this egg in her womb. Now, creating an egg in this way or in fertilization in that way is called creating a zygote in modern genetics, or what we call modern genetics today. She created a zygote.
I'm just trying to show y'all, look, pay attention to what he's saying. This is equivalent to a woman who's barren and can't have children, so she has someone else carry the child for her to term. Or she has, you see what I'm saying? She has her eggs. This has been going on, y'all. This has been going on. We need to wake up, bro. I keep telling y'all, bro. Technology has been, it's been, what superseded where we are now. We're just now getting back to the point of what technology was years ago. They're just now learning the technology of these gods.
Inserted it into her womb. It attached. She went 10 months, according to the tablets, not 9, gave birth to Adamu. After she gave birth to Adamu, once they got it to a matured state, they then had him begin to mate with some of these other beings that they had already been tampering with. Didn't work. Mating didn't work. Mating didn't work. They kept trying to mate. This is in the Eden, E-D-I-N. It clearly states in the tablets it's E-D-I-N, Eden. In the Bible, it's Eden. Isn't that interesting? Eden was a gigantic outdoor laboratory with guards. The same guards that they talk about in the Sumerian tablets. If you read the Bible, they have the same guards at the gates there. And these guards have weapons in the Bible. They got weapons in the Sumerian tablets. You better not try to go in or out. They keeping you in, and they're keeping the people on the outside out. And then what happens? They say, well, this ain't working. We can't mate this guy. His sperm, let me check the sperm again. His sperm is working. It's swimming.
But see, you have to understand what these ancient people who are around at this time, they wouldn't dare go against them. They wouldn't dare go against them because they felt like, man, bro, I've never seen nobody come down here with these guns that they couldn't tell you what it was. You see what I'm saying? These type of guns, they got armies out here. Imagine us in ancient times, right, with the stuff that we have right now, and they seeing that, bro. They can't explain it. They looking at them like, man, look, these people got magic. They got whatever it is, fire and power, whatever it is, bro. It makes them, immortal. You feel me? And so now we get to the beginning of the story when we talk about in the Garden of Eden, where Cain supposedly got rid of his brother, right? Okay. And then when the guy came along, he say, I heard his footsteps. See, we don't use common sense. Common sense say, well, dang, if this God and God is everything, you feel me? And he has no shape, no form, no nothing. How is it that he say he heard his footsteps through the garden? You feel me? Then you go ask the minister that, he turned it around. Well, see, cause you see, he get to preaching real loud, bro, and you get to believe in everything he done said whole time. He ain't even answered your question. But you fail to use common sense and go within and say, man, anything that I can hear has to be in the physical form. He said he heard his footsteps coming through. We need to look at things for what they are. You see what I'm saying? So now look, also when Cain left the garden, right, and he was afraid because he had did that to his brother, you say the people outside, he say, they're going to catch me and they're going to knock me off. The way the Bible gives it to you is what? Bro, it was, look, no other people other than Cain, Abel, Seth, Adam, and Eve. These were the only people. Cain got rid of Abel. I mean, you see what I'm saying? And that means it was 4 people. So if you use common sense says that it had to be people outside of the garden because he banned him from the garden, right? And he was afraid that he was going to get knocked off. So he marked them, right? So that he wouldn't. And then not only that, he left and found the wife. He left and found the wife, but no one questions these things. They just go along with it. Because when you go up there and ask that good old minister, what he say to you? What he say? Don't question God. Don't question God. You see what I'm saying? And so that's how that spell is consistently being casted over you.
But it's not working with these other beings. We got to do something else. So what they do, they take some of his own DNA. They clone him they clone Eve out of him. Then they mate him and Eve. And guess what? Bingo. It worked. She gets pregnant. Oh, now we got the formula. Now we don't have to keep making these damn clones. It's a lot of work. So now Adam and Eve is the first genetically modified Homo sapien that can mate with each other and have babies. So they begin to then reproduce that same experiment by taking eggs out of other women, inserting them into wombs of Anunnaki women, having them give birth and they call them the Hathors. These are the Hathors. All right. These are the Hathors that you learned about in ancient Egypt. Somebody says, do you know how our cousins got here? Yes, I do. If you talk to the ancient, the Aboriginals who I met in Australia, according to them, in ancient times, they were seeded on this planet by Pleiadians. That is their verbal handed down history for thousands of years. Not just
now, you have to understand, bro. It get deep here. It get deep here. It get deep here, y'all. I'm going to tell y'all, bro, because I know people going to say, I thought Pleiadians they had blind eyes and blue. Man, bro, it get deep here, bro. You have to understand, when we talk about ancient Kemet, okay, you get into the etymology of the word ancient Kemet, it means Pleiades. Yeah. Ancient Kemet means Pleiades.
Them, also the indigenous natives of the North and South Americas. Same exact story. Interesting that this is an abandoned seed planet, that they seeded this planet with people, and then some period of time went by, they were gone. Then these Anunnaki people arrive and say, yeah, these people are just abandoned here. They don't even know what they're doing. They're just trying to learn how to develop themselves from scratch.
But see, I do really think it gets bigger than that, bro. Like I told y'all, you have to understand, bro, this plane or planet that we're in was like a vacation planet. No one actually came, they lived here. They actually came here, they hunted, they came for natural minerals. Like they came here and did anything that they wanted because there was, like no one here basically to run the land. No one was, primitive to the place. And the primitive people, they weren't even evolved to that point yet. You see what I'm saying? And so this is why that dome had to be put over us, because you got the Anunnaki coming in, they manipulating, they're evolving, they're manipulating evolution, okay, and causing us to be beyond who we are, so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? But yeah.
And they took advantage of it. So back to the story. So they now have this mating thing going on. The Hathors have been doing these birthing houses, reproducing the same experiment with Adam and Eve. And now we've got, because you have to have a genetic pool. You can't create, listen to me, people. If you're a grown person right now, if you're a grown up and you still believe that two people can create 8 billion people, because we got 8 billion people on Earth right now, there's something wrong with you. I'm not insulting you. I'm just saying you got to rethink who you are and how high your intelligence level is. I'm just saying. Because if you go and have sex with your sister right now, you already know that baby gonna be retarded. You know this for a fact. It's gonna be a disabled baby, disabilities coming out the womb every time. And over time, by the third or fourth generation, it's gonna be all kind of malformed disabilities, right? So if we know that for a fact, then what makes you think that Adam and Eve is gonna create 8 billion people? Two people gonna create 8 billion. We gotta really begin to think here. That's not what happened. The tablets tell you exactly what happened. It wasn't just Adam and Eve. They then created birthing houses where they duplicated the experiment with other Anunnaki women, giving birth to more and more of these Homo sapiens, creating a gene pool that they built up so that they can intermingle and intermate and create babies. And the proof of this.
Hey, look, and that goes back to these breeding, like these slave breeding plantations that they had. That's what they did. You don't know that they had plantations where they would actually take men and women for the specific purposes of breeding. And this is what this reminds me of.
It's very simple. When you go into the Old Testament of the Bible, I got to check the time because I got to get on another podcast shortly. Let me tell Richard Merritt I'm almost ready. Hold on. I know he's probably texting me. Okay. He didn't text me yet. Good. When you go into the Bible, Old Testament, you find out that obviously Cain killed Abel, right? Over a dispute because one was jealous that God was having more favor over the other one's offering and so forth and so on. So out of jealousy, he killed his brother. Now what happens? God comes back, but who's the God? God is Yahweh. Who is Yahweh in the Bible? Enlil. Enlil comes back according to the ancient tablets, and he's asking like, hey, what's going on here? Because by then, you know, he realizes that he killed a brother. There's a murder going on. One of the first recorded murders in biblical history, but not in history itself, because in the ancient tablets, there's a million murders going on. And he's like, why'd you do this? And so forth. So he's telling him what happened. He's ashamed and everything else. He's kicked out of Eden. He's kicked out of the laboratory because this guy's violent now. And he goes, Cain says something very important in the biblical text. He says, the people out there will kill me. The people out there will kill me.
Which is something that everybody seems to overlook. This is something that everybody seems to overlook. Why would a man say that if they were the only creation? Stop letting people think for y'all, man. Like, why would he say that if it was only 5 people that was ever created? At this point, it was only one woman that would have birthed at any time. So when we talk about biblical context speaking against, speaking about incest and things like that, it speaks against it, right? So we know that when we talk about from their standpoint, he wouldn't have laid with his mother. Abel or Cain wouldn't have laid with their mother to have children. So that means it's one woman. Then we have Cain, Abel, and we have Cain, Seth, and Eve because Cain already knocked off Abel. Okay, so why are you afraid? Who is going to knock you off when you leave here, bro? Ain't nobody here to knock you off. And in fact, you know, the God, whoever they were saying is, he's supposed to put this mark on him so that they knew that, you know, he was amongst them and they weren't supposed to knock him off. So they assured him that he was not going to be knocked off. And for me, this is where you see the Anunnaki bloodline leaving outside of that gateway and starting to intermingle with the ancient people. You feel what I'm saying? Because everybody don't have this bloodline. It's clear from the story that's being told. But it's in a lot of it because he stepped outside of the garden. He went and had a wife and then created his own lineage. But ask yourself this. These are the common sense questions that you don't ask anymore. That no one is afraid to ask, because even if the child asks the mother, how did Cain find a wife? The mother would tell him, don't question God. Ain't that deep? She would tell him, don't question God. Therefore, he doesn't seek outside of himself or outside of what it is that he's been taught. You see what I'm saying? Or inside himself. You feel what I'm saying? Because she tell him, don't question God. What God say is law. And that goes on for generations and generations and generations and generations. You see what I'm saying? That's facts. When he said Pleiadians, a lot of folks like, what the, yeah. So that means we got to dig into these Pleiadians a little more, man. We got to dig into these Pleiadians a little more because we know at this time there was no such thing as the so-called six ether.
What people? There's only supposed to be a couple of people on this planet. What people out there? If it's Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel, then what people are out there that's going to kill you? There were already hundreds of thousands of people out there living, working, and everything else when Cain was actually born. And then what does God say in the Bible? He says, don't worry, I'm going to put a mark on you, my brand, I'm going to brand you so that the people out there know you my boy and they won't touch you. That's what the Bible says. That's exactly what the Bible says, right? And so they brand him. He knows that, hey, okay, don't touch this guy. He's a Canaan. That's where the Canaanites came from. All right. So was the alien woman found on the moon real or fake? Somebody's asking me in the chat. That's a good question. The footage looks amazing. I just can never find any backed up evidence to prove it. Do I think it's real? I tend to believe it. My personal opinion, I believe it, but I can't say factually that it's real. I just can't do that. I'm not like a lot of these YouTube accounts that will just go run and jump on something because it sounds good. It's going to get a lot of views.
But my thing is, if you ever seen the lady on the moon, I feel like she was well preserved. I'm talking about nothing, okay, was wrong with her. It looked like she hadn't decayed at all. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like, bro, that is just impossible, bro, when we think about what happened to the body after the soul leaves it. You see what I'm saying? So with that being said, we have to ask ourselves if they did in fact go to the moon and find something on the moon, because we know the moon is an actual object. We know it's an actual object that was pulled into our atmosphere. So guess what? It's a possibility that they can go there and land on this actual object. Do I believe that they did? No. Okay, but let's just say that they did. You know, when we dig back in the history, it tells us that it was other beings on the planet. Actually, you know, one of those beings that ruled the dark side of the planet was a being by the name of Lunar. Okay, so then I ask you this. You feel me? We talk about these reptilian beings, talk about it being a spaceship, we talk about it being a mothership, a moon, and whatever else, a satellite, whatever we call it. You understand what I'm saying? I'm scrambled tonight. It's getting late. But, it could be people on there. They could be doing proper burials. They could be doing embalming. Because you have to understand, bro, that our system came from these Samaritans. Our writing, our farming, everything started there. Okay? So with that being said, if we're talking about people that's living on like the moon somewhere, you don't think that they would have a way, to basically bury a person to where their body wouldn't decay if this technology is way, further than ours. And they allowed them to bring this body back. That's the only way I can find it. If not, it's something that they sculpted, bro. It's something that they sculpted. Y'all drop them names if y'all, if you riding along with what I'm saying. If you know this lady, if you know the lady that was found on the moon that they said was over, like, I want to say some millions of years old. It was her and another person on there. Okay, she had 6 fingers and she was an ether being. She was a black being. Okay, y'all drop them names if y'all seen that.
I personally think it's actively real, but I can't make any claims as to it. I'm still a little bit in the gray because there's no way for me to prove that it is. I don't know what camera was used, who took the footage. Did the person, was it a former astronaut that escaped, or I can't really find any information on it. Until I can do that, I can't say unequivocally yes. I can only tell you my opinion. I like the footage. All right. And so this is what happened with Cain. With Cain. So there were people already out there. God says to him, "You'll know your wife. You'll meet her. You'll meet this woman. You'll find a woman out there. You guys are gonna fall in love, and you're gonna build this whole Canaanite kingdom." That's the Bible said. So people were already out there. His wife was already outside of Eden. She existed already. There wasn't 2 people giving birth to 8 billion people. Stop thinking that. Stop teaching that to your kids, please. I'm begging you. It's foolishness. If you believe that, then start going having sex with your relatives right now and see what happens when your baby come out. Just see what happens. It didn't happen that way. Read these tablets. It tells you exactly what happens. These beings were mating. They had creating this mating farm, this mating laboratory called Eden. And Lil was known as the Lord. He was known as Satan, the Lord of Eden. Satan, the Lord of Eden. Satan. You wonder where that came from? Yeah, he's Satan. The snake that was in the garden was his brother, Enki. Enki came with the knowledge to Adam and Eve and told them that they were stronger and bigger and brighter, and that when he did the genetic tinkering, that he put a little extra in them, that one day in the future they would be able to tap back into it, and they themselves could rise higher than the Anunnaki. And his brother found out about this and started calling him the devil.
And see, this is the thing, right? This is why I told y'all we are special, bro. We are the gods and goddesses, right? Because we have a genetic makeup that even the Anunnaki don't have. You hear what I'm saying? If you rewind this, I told you in the beginning of this, I said we have a genetic makeup that they do not have. They don't even have that non-etherical genetic makeup. And so this is another reason that dome was put over us, because these beings, bro, they did not like that, bro. Like the galaxy, bro. Like when you dig into it, bro, they didn't like the fact that they had built us and made us this way. So it was a lot of people that was trying to really, was trying to really, come for us.
And that information is in The Myth of Adapa. Do they have that book down here? Oh, it's upstairs. The Myth of Adapa, which is another incredible ancient text, cuneiform text that's available. The myth. I did a whole thing with Matthew LaCroix on The Myth of Adapa. It's so powerful. In the Bible, where it's talking about that, saying that, the angels were jealous of human beings because they were going to be exalted higher than them. That comes from The Myth of Adapa, ancient text that's talking about human beings, us, being created at a higher level, but not knowing we were than the Anunnaki themselves. We have to tap back into our DNA. We have to tap back into the...
See, I keep telling y'all, right? The whole thing. And see, this is what this live finna be about. That's why y'all most definitely need to be hitting that notification bell for October 29th, because it's all about tapping back into your power. In the beginning, Billy Carson just said, bro, before they came along and they genetically modified us and did what they needed to do, bro, we was already tapped into the planet. We were spiritual beings first. Understand that, bro. We've always been spiritual beings first, because we evolved with the planet. We were not created on the planet. Okay, so therefore we were already tapped in. We were able to summon the wind. We were able to manipulate, the elements around us. We could have walked on fires, moved water. You see what I'm saying? We could have done those things because the way we were connected. But us being genetically connected to them, someone who has a genetic that's way further ahead than us, bro, that makes us the most powerful beings in the universe. That's what that makes us.
To our, what they're calling junk, and plug it back in. We have to tap into our pineal gland and our higher consciousness. We have to tap back into our frequencies. Get back on the frequency mode of love, understanding, empathy, service to others.
Hey, look, I didn't even know he was going to say that. I promise y'all. What is empathy, bro? When we talk about having telekinetic abilities, it's all about focusing, okay? Having the ability to focus and to be empathetic with the object, okay, that that you have. That's one of the main things that and empathy that has to do with anything, bro. When you building a relationship with anybody, bro, if they're unable to be empathetic with you, or you're unable to be empathetic with them, bro, that relationship is not going to work. That means that you are unable to have a connection, because that's what empathy is all about. I'm an imp in itself. I could walk in the room and take everybody's energy in. That's why I have to sage more than anybody else. But that's what I'm saying. It's all about making a connection.
And also then tap into all of our innate gifts that we naturally have. Things that they had to enhance with technology were built into our avatar bodies. Psychic abilities, telekinesis, intuition, all these extrasensory perceptions that we don't think we even know exist in our bodies, but they're there, just lying dormant, waiting for us to tap back into them.
I cannot make this stuff up. I can't make it up, bro. They've taught you to believe rather than to know. And you have to understand the belief of it all. See, he giving you, I'm going to come from a spiritual perspective. We know who the Yahweh was, the 12 disagreeables, the 12 agreeable beings that actually came down here, bro, and partook in the evolution of this planet. And we see it in the planet. We spoke about that in the beginning of the live. You see what I'm saying? You have to understand that you are everything and everything is you. Don't take it for a quote that you can just run around and tell everybody just to prove a point. You have to know it and feel it within yourself in order to be able to tap into whatever it is around you. You have to be empathetic with everything around you. Like the shamans, they are not afraid of the fire. They are one with it. Therefore, they dance in it, they sit in it, and they play in it. Okay? Because they are not afraid of it. You have been taught to believe that the fire will harm you. Keyword, believe that the fire will harm you. And therefore, the spell is being placed over you every day. You walking in the spell every day because you believe that the fire will harm you. You don't believe that you are one with the fire. You don't believe that you could summon the wind and use it as a weapon. That's too far-fetched. As I ran my trailer, it was the people in here. It was people in here. Oh man, that's crazy. That's crazy. Now, the only thing is crazy is that you believe that you can't do it. That you believe that you're not a God. That you believe that you're not connected to the planet. Bro, break the spell of belief, man.
So did the Anunnaki create human beings? Not exactly. They genetically modified our ancestors, which turned us into Homo sapiens sapien. And in actuality, all of us are Anunnaki because we all have the DNA of these beings running through our veins today. So every person on this entire planet is an alien. You're all hybrids, all right? Anyway, that's my time for tonight, guys. Thanks for spending this time with me. I got a couple things I want to show you real quick before I...
Now, look, I will say this, man. Speaking from my perspective, man, everybody is not an Anunnaki, man. But in his sense, yes, because we know our genetics has been tampered with along the lines, okay? But I will say this, man. It's deeper than what y'all believe it is, bro. We got to start waking up, bro, and tapping back into self, bro. Into self. Stop believing that it's somebody that's going to come along and save you, bro. Even these beings are not what we would consider to be that frequency that is God. Yes, that frequency resides in them. And yes, they will ages longer than, you know, they were ages way ahead of us. But guess what? We are stronger than them, bro. We are genetically stronger than them. And this is why this system is set in place, right? To keep us from remembering who we are and tapping back into that energy, y'all. Ain't nobody gonna save you but you. And the only way you gonna save yourself is to remember who you are and to be able to tap back into your abilities. Do not miss this upcoming event, y'all. October 29th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss it, bro. It's going to be an event of a lifetime, bro. The guy's so tapped in, bro. He moving things. He ain't the only one. There's other people. And I'm hoping that this lab will cause other people to step forth and say, yeah, man, I'm tapped in too, bro. And I can give you some techniques and anybody else some techniques that want to learn to be able to tap in, you know, too. Stop being afraid. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? You are the X-Man. Let he who has eyes see clearly. Do you see it? Can you feel it? You are the X-Man. They ain't got to go to space because everything they want to know about space is within you. Eat the being. Okay? I don't expect nobody to give me nothing from a spiritual standpoint. I go within, bro. And you know what it is, bro? I learned, bro. The only thing that I claim is what I can really, really align myself with. From a spiritual standpoint, bro, we are more than who you think we are, bro. And y'all better start to tap in, bro. They done made you be afraid of the science of magic, the so-called magic. Something your ancestors gave them, the Moors gave them, and they use against you every day. What you looking through this portal that you watching me through right now is nothing more than magic. It's magic. And once you understand that this planet is nothing more than an illusion to begin with, then you really start to understand that we live in a magical realm. Okay. But with that being said, telekinetic abilities is something that you have within you. It's something you were supposed to be getting teach as a child, not going to these indoctrination schools, spending 13, 15 years learning nothing. And at the same time, still beating you out because they ain't teach you about credit. They ain't teach your children about nothing that's going to help them succeed in the system that they set up because the system ain't for them. Okay? Y'all like this up and share it, man, if I got y'all here. It's not for them. This system was never set in place for our people to succeed in any way, form, or fashion, y'all. And y'all better wake up, bro. You have to understand, bro. I tell y'all all the time, the reason they whitewashed everything, the reason that they taught you to look outside of yourself and worship another person was because they knew for you to find out that you was the God that you worship on a day-to-day basis, bro, would be a threat to their system. Then they said, okay, after everything that we did to them, if they finally wake up, what is going to happen to us? What they going to do to us? What are they? Imagine what we was doing, bro. Read between the lines. Billy Carson told you, man, you need to tap back into your psychic abilities, telekinesis, telepathy, so on and so forth, clairvoyance, right? You need to tap back into these things, but yet and still, you know, he telling you that these people weren't gods, but you're stronger than them. And so on these platforms, you got to give it to a person a certain way, bro, because guess what? It's a lot of people out here hating and ready to, you know what I'm saying, try to make it seem like you spreading propaganda because this ain't what they was indoctrinated to believe. But hey, man, let he who has eyes see clearly, man. You know, I can't keep wasting my time coming on here saying the same thing. It's something that's going on. And I keep telling y'all, this stuff right here is written in the clay tablets. The clay tablets go way back further than any scripture that you would want to read. So now when I come up on here and I tell y'all, bro, that was not the story of the beginning. It was the story of a replenishing or a reconstruction of. And so when you dig into the etymology of the words, you will find that out. Therefore, it was the reconstruction of who? Genesis, the gene of Isis. This is the right teaching. Let he who has eyes see clearly. Therefore, when you read the Bible and you praising and worshiping El Anu, you're actually worshiping the God of the Anunnakis, because everything that was written in that Bible is written from the perspective of the Anunnaki gods, or so-called gods, when they came down here and they genetically modified people, or they altered your genes. And then Isis gave a rebirth through herself. I mean, it can't get no better than that, bro. Ain't nobody finna come on here and waste their time and lie. Y'all, look, and it's still people on here running the story that the star over the sky is the Star of David. They still running it. So-called Christians. Still running it, bro. And this is the reason our people right now are so lost. Because of people like them that want to run to the Bible, bro, and don't want the right knowledge to get out there, bro, and still gonna run the fact that the Star of David was not. Look, the Star of David wasn't even found in the Bible, but you still running and claim to be a devout Christian, bro. I ain't got time for that. Keep that over there, bro. We on something real over here. Everybody over here is on a whole nother frequency, bro. We really tapped into the God within. We ain't trying to hear all that, bro. All that, bro. Man, look, y'all. With that being said, y'all make sure y'all get over to YouTube and follow me on YouTube at I Am Awakened, man. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at I Am Awakened _chosen one, man. And I told y'all, man, y'all do not want to miss this event, October 29th, man, 7 p.m. Get your seat now. Get your seat now. It's a free event. Good knowledge gonna be in there, man. The guy most definitely know what he's talking about, man. Get your seat now, bro. This is going to be an event, bro, that you most definitely do not want to miss. Out of all of the mental powers, the most powerful and the most effective one is telekinesis, better known as psychokinesis. Telekinesis involves using your mind to affect physical objects. Nowadays, it's composed of your mind's ability to have an effect on time, space, energy, and matter without any recognizable physical means. Telekinesis is definitely an exceptional ability. It's so mysterious, you might be wondering if something like this could even really be done. You might even ask yourself if this is a skill that could be mastered. Ask no more. October 29th, I want you to join me and Chief Why Not of the Chief Why Not tribe. Why Not being the acronym for You Need Only Truth. He's a teacher of many things, but his main curriculum is divine knowledge of self, advanced meditation, mental healing, and telekinesis. So don't forget to hit that post notification icon so that you will be notified when we go live. And peace to the gods and goddesses. Ashay.
Yeah, I'm about to expose every lie they done told, like how they trafficking kids and why they ain't got a soul. They feeding off our energy, trying to destroy the globe. They got weather control, they even making it snow. We can't run from it, gotta grab it by the antler.
Hey y'all, it's most definitely gonna be a godly energy in that on the 29th, y'all. I'm guaranteeing y'all that, bro, cause I ain't gonna lie, me and the God just got a vibe. Anyway, anytime we get up on there, bro, and we communicate, it's always a vibe, bro. We always set the mood. So, I mean, like, this is going to be an event that you do not want to miss, bro. It's going to be key tools in here on how to, take your power back. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he's even offering consultations and things like that if you really want to get deep into learning how it is that you want to take your power back. If you want to take it serious, okay? Then he willing to teach you, bro. So, and it's only for the chosen ones, man, because you have to understand, bro, we ain't trying to spend our time with nobody who ain't really chosen, bro. That's facts, yo. Because we understand, bro, the science ain't for everybody, all right? And with that being said, man, I just want to leave y'all as I came. I want you guys to always Always be aware, because to be aware is to be alive. And as always, peace, family. Peace meaning positive energy always creates elevation. Ashe.